Hi yogis, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me today for your yoga demo. I'm going to be showing you your crow pose, your side crow pose today. So we're going to be looking at a variation of our traditional crow pose. It might be that crow pose was the first arm balance that you've learned and you're wanting to progress a little bit. Your side crow is perfect for that. We have two ways of doing it. We have a sort of a variation to begin, and then we can advance it, a little like our crow pose where we have those two options for the placement of the knees. We have two options in our side crow to make it even more challenging if you wish. Make sure that you're warmed up and fit and healthy to join in if you're going to join in with this demo rather than just watch it. Always make sure to look after yourself. So our side crow, it involves a twist. So you want to make sure that you're warmed up through your rotation of the spine. And because it involves that twist, it can feel a little trickier on the balance. It can feel a little more unusual for our body. And that's why sometimes we begin to struggle with it a little bit more. So what you want to do is you set the base up the same way. You have the same sort of distance between the hands. But before we set up that as our base, we want to hop up and then we want to crouch down. So we get into a little crouch. And this is how you might come into your crow, but instead of going forwards, we're going to go sideways. So from here, you begin to twist. So you have your nice little springy platform, and then you come to the side. And we're going to place our hands the same that we do for crow. So we want our fingers really spread nice and wide. We want our palms connecting into the mat, all even. So we don't want the outer edges of the hands coming in. We want nice and even. And then from here, again, with the crow pose, we don't want to gaze down to the feet. We want to keep our gaze forward. It's kind of the same for our arm balance for our side crow. As we come in, if we gaze between the hands, we're going to go between the hands. So don't look directly down, look a little bit further forward. And what we're going to do is we're going to use our elbows as a ledge. So what we do is we begin to bend into our elbows. And as we bend into our elbows, we take one elbow to the hip and one elbow to the knee. So you can see here I'm starting to get a little bit of a ledge. Well, how we get into that a little bit better is a little bit like our crow. We want to lift up a bit. So then you come down, you take the hip into the elbow and you take the knees to the other elbow. So that's your setup, and you really want to have a play with that and get that right before you move on. Getting that base, getting that secure shelf with the arms will help you to then transition into your crow pose. Are we ready to have a little go? So come on up, take your hands so they're nice and strong and steady, and then take that elbow to the hip, and then maybe you lift your top knee. As you lift your top foot, zip it in. As you lift your bottom foot, zip it in. So here we are in our side crow. Already, it's as simple as that. You can gaze out towards the side, and you might feel a little bit wibbly wobbly to begin. You may even drop down onto your shoulder. If you find that you are dropping down, you can always put a cushion there if you want to just look after your shoulder. Remember to keep your gaze away from between your arms. If you take it between your arms, you're going to go between your arms. So keep it out and up. You'll come into your twist, you find your shelf, and you shift the weight. It's pretty simple, really. Once you get that balance of the shelf, it's a little like crow. If you believe that you can do it, if you come into your side crow knowing that you can do it with that confidence and that belief that you can, as long as you set yourself up with your nice strong base, you lift and then lower onto your shelf, and then you zip the heels in towards the body, you're going to just float into it. It may not happen straight away, but I promise you one day you will float into your side crow and you will suddenly realize how good it is. We're going to try the next advanced option. If you want to try it, that's absolutely fine. If you're thinking, no thank you, that is plenty for me to be working on, then you can work on your other variation of your side crow. If you're looking for something a little bit more challenging, basically what we do is instead of taking one elbow to the knee and one to the hip, we just have one elbow to one knee. The other elbow is free. So that is the more advanced option. Because we haven't got our shelf, there's a lot more strength in our body that we need to use. So we use a little bit more shoulder strength, but we also use our core, and not just our abdominals, but our back muscles, and also the shoulders. We use all of our core, all of our torso really, to help get us into our crow. Are we ready to give it a go? So you can watch if you don't want to quite join in yet, if you're not ready for that fun little play. So here, normally if we were doing our first option, we would take the hip to the elbow. This time, you just want to lift up. And this time, it's really important for that gaze to come forward. So you find your little ledge on one elbow, then you lift, and then you can gaze to the side. So make sure that you're not gazing down, you're gazing forward. So gaze forward, lift the feet, and then you can gaze to the side if you wish. So you can see the elbows are pretty bent here. It's not like in our normal crow where we try to straighten them. Those elbows are pretty bent. And by bending those elbows, it gives us more of a shelf. So those are your two options. You can have one elbow to the knee and one to the hip, or you can just have that one elbow to the knees. Really make sure if you're struggling to lift the feet, as you lift those feet, you have to think about zipping everything up and in. You have to think about whoop, sucking in everything and lifting. If you think about it, you are trying to lift your body off the floor. It's the same as if you were trying to get up from off the floor. You really lift. You use your body. So you have to bring in that muscle recruitment. You have to really go for it to lift your body off the floor. And once you've found the lift, you should then be able to balance in your side crow. That's what's quite nice about the side crow. Once you're there, once you've switched on those muscles, the effort gets a little bit less than the actual transition of lifting. So that lift is the hardest bit. Once you're there, as long as you keep your muscles going, as long as you keep them switched on, then you'll be absolutely fine and you'll be able to balance there for ages. Have a little bit of fun, enjoy playing with your side crow, see how you do. It's a really nice one to add in if you're beginning to develop beyond your crow pose. If crow pose is starting to feel a little easy, you can bring in your side crow and have a little play. Have a lovely rest of your day and I hope to see you again soon. Feel free to subscribe if you want to stay in the loop for new classes and demos.